the activists. We have the case of the man who is now the deputy mayor of our capital city, whose wife was abducted and brutally murdered in front of a 4-year-old son. Currently, we are still reeling from the brutal legacy of the last 10 years in Zimbabwe. Human rights defenders and political abductees continue to be targeted. Political abductees are still missing. Up to 24 have reportedly not been discovered. The state of Zimbabwe, despite this new veneer of a new inclusive government, is persisting with terrorism and banditry charges against activists, journalists, and the intolerance of human rights defenders and the pro-democracy movement still continues. NGOs in Zimbabwe still cannot have peaceful protests. Recently, the South African broadcaster reviewed what many grassroots organizations in Zimbabwe have for long been talking about. That was, on the other hand, we've been suffering the crushing of the pro-democracy movement. But on the other level, ordinary Zimbabweans have been suffering just as much, or not even, maybe even double, away from the glare of international media. Zimbabwe's 42 prisons are carrying over 35,000 inmates, but they only have an official capacity of 17,000. Prisoners are dying of lack of food, prisoners are dying of HIV/AIDS, prisoners are dying of cholera. The regime of Robert Mugabe is also showing that it is unrepentant and it will not change, as evidenced by the renewed invasion of farms and properties around our country. 1,500 farm workers have recently been displaced in our country. There is no freedom of expression in Zimbabwe, no independent media. We still have one television station in our country, so a remote control will not help you very much. We have only 4 radio stations that are brutally controlled by the government. Up to 4 million Zimbabweans are living in exile, and all of them have fled in a short space of time. The government of Zimbabwe now is talking about national healing and reconciliation, but we all know that our country has been locked in a sickening cycle of impunity. And that is our message to the international community. That is our message to the United Nations, to the African government, that we push for genuine reforms in Zimbabwe. We push for genuine justice. We push for all the perpetrators of violence, perpetrators of murders to be brought before justice. I will quote one Zimbabwean writing to a newspaper, and he says, when these harbingers of death and destruction are brought to book, when their assets have been seized, and when they have been made to face their victims, families, and face the wrath of those that have suffered, only then will be a free Zimbabwe possible. A Zimbabwe with a government that is open and transparent, whose only brief is to serve its people and keep their best interests at heart. There is an institution that keeps sponsoring violence in Zimbabwe. They use the natural wealth of the country, they use the diamonds, they use the resources of the country to oppress their own people. And we are asking for the international community to join hands to make sure that this is not made possible, that the assets of these people, whether in Switzerland, wherever in Europe, should be taken and should be returned to the people of Zimbabwe. We are asking the United Nations now to send finally a thorough human rights fact-finding mission to Zimbabwe, which is something that has not been done. And we all still also ask all of you who are here to work with us, to work with the pro-democracy movement in Zimbabwe. Not ahead of us, not behind of us, but to work side by side. Because no matter this veneer or veil of a new dawn in Zimbabwe, we are still very far from freedom. We are still very far from